Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. It's Monday, January 19th, 2026, 12:31 on the clock. That's 1231. That feels significant. Something coming back around to the beginning, or for a do-over, a start over, maybe. So I had a somewhat of a preview message, but I don't know, like I was getting it, but I also was like, what am I getting? Like, what is it that I'm looking at here? Because it seems so specific, but I mean, it doesn't have to be, but the way that it was channeling to me was, but it doesn't have to be. It could be multiple storylines actually in different ways, but ultimately it was like someone that was, I'll just say it plain, okay? Like, it's like someone in a masculine frequency was in a competition to be, I don't know. All right, okay. See, this is why I'm like, what am I seeing? Because it was coming up like a masculine, like almost a dating competition or something. And I've said that before, but it was almost as if we were looking at it from the perspective of one particular contestant. Well, that's how I was seeing it through the cards. So the side story is that there were multiple candidates, gladiators. I saw the chariot card. Multiple candidates, options, potentials, interviewees, like whatever considerations. But what I was seeing is one particular person's tenacity to beat out the competition, not because he was actually looking at others as competition, but more so because he was looking at himself, like he was looking at his own performance, his own skill sets, his own opportunities to advance, to improve, to achieve, to win, whatever the objective is in this competition. What it felt like is winning the object of your affection. Like almost like some parts of it felt ancient, like how knights would compete for their maiden's approval or their king's endorsement or whatever, something like that. But it felt very heavy handed on someone feeling like they ultimately needed to jump through hoops to be the ideal mate for their particular object of affection. And again, what I was seeing is someone's determination, their tenacity, like their diligence. There was no obstacle too great, no feat too big, no opponent too strong or too fierce, no obstacle that they weren't willing to surmount to ultimately present themselves worthy to be an ideal mate. I think I said that already, but like a divine mate, an ideal mate, and again, this could be practical as literally somebody having come in contact with someone that has inspired them to want to improve their lifestyle in some way, shape, or form, to be a better partner, or at least to be a better prospect of a partner, than where they saw themselves at the onset of the encounter or the engagement. And or it could be something, I felt like it was something so even more grand and um, I don't know, like fantastic, where someone, it was just like a warrior, like a fierce warrior that was just, I mean, they may have taken some losses on their way to their victories, but ultimately it's given gladiator vibes, at the pinnacle of his power and success. And that exhibition of strength and um, ferocity that he exhibited all up until the very end, and I saw this too in the cards as well, actually, until the little cheater um, ultimately pierced him in the side and gave him a disadvantage in the fight because he knew that he was no match ultimately. But if it wasn't for that, he would have ripped him to shreds for sure, and we know that. So it's something about like, and I saw, a reoccurrence of like the Six of Cups, something ancient. That's why the time struck me, like something old, ancient, past season, past life, uh, unrequited perhaps in the past or in another time or on another timeline, but something that was considered to have been more or less a lost cause, or may have been revered as a loss because of the lack of visibility of the type of training and preparation um, that someone may have been going through to prepare, to build their strength for the present time, whatever the present moment may be. It was more or less considered that, maybe that there is no champion, or that there was another champion, another winner, not someone else prevailed, or that, no one has prevailed to properly fulfill that role, that is obviously uh, highly coveted, to invoke so much competition. But anyway, long story short, that's what I was seeing, I think, is someone's journey to ultimate warrior status, or like a total victor, a champion. Champion is really the word. Like, there was conclusion for sure with the judgment multiple times that a champion has been named. Whether I saw, that's the other thing I saw, it was like a unanimous decision in the ethers, maybe by way of ancestors or universal council or source itself, whatever whoever the deciders are, whatever is the decider, was was undivided, was unanimous in after deliberation, based on someone's performance, based on someone's determination and diligence, even in the moments of so-called loss or setback. It's like the way in which someone, in the moments when someone may have considered themselves to be losing or at a loss, subsequently were some of the most triumphant moments is what I'm getting. More or less because someone still persevered to get up, to fight another day, to face another challenge, to try again, to have more faith, more determination, to reimagine their future and their potential, to wield all the power and strength that they could possibly muster, you know, again, all for the purposes of maybe once upon a time the inspiration was for something out, to prove something outside of themselves or to achieve something outside of themselves, but the processing ultimately transformed someone's intentions to be more internal. You know, like, this is what I want to do to be the best that I can be for me. This is who I want to see when I look in the mirror. This is how I want to feel accomplished, achieved, accredited, you know, not by man's standards, but by spiritual ones, and more or less by those standards and and expectations that I make agreement with, or that I set myself, no less, as opposed to someone imposing that, or projecting that onto me. So even that turn of mindset for someone to shift so powerfully is a winning mentality. And I feel like that's the universal aspect of it that all can, you know, receive in some way, shape, or form. Being that a lot of ways in which you yourself may have persevered through some tough cycles or some strange seasons, some uncertain pathways. It's the it's the will and drive to keep on going no matter what, to keep on going no matter what you've experienced, no matter what's projected to be an experience, no matter what limitations are dictated, you know, to you, or projected onto your path. Like, so many things that could ultimately deter you from pushing forward didn't. You know, you might be hopping over the finish line, whatever that is, in your life from now till the official, you know, dawn of the new year. You might be limping. You might have one eye. You might have an arm in a sling. You know, you might have a broken pinky toe. You know, you might be bruised and battered, but you're still standing. You're still moving. You're still focused. You're still unwilling to be stopped or turned around. And that is a triumphant, that's the picture of a true champion, you know. And that's the heart that I believe the divine is scouting for when it's looking for its champions, its gladiators, its warriors. Yeah. So anyway, somebody's winning. Somebody has won, is winning, maybe is winning more than they may have even realized in this moment. Maybe many people, as I said, are winning in ways that they just can't perceive, because there's so much more trees in the forest to consider. But you're doing a great job, you know. And someone, I feel like, for the in the spirit of the preview message, it's either you that is looking like this triumphant champion, and or that's the energy that's attracting a triumphant champion into your life, you know, or inspiring others to step in, you know, to integrate that spirit with them, in their own lives and in their own existence. And then on the most beautiful but primitive level, it literally could be, for those that are in the market for it, someone that has been fighting to be the best man and or woman. I don't know why I say and or, but man or woman that they can be, um, to fill the shoes of the role that they feel inspired to integrate with or to become altogether. For some, that could be a dynamic romantic partner, a devoted romantic partner. For some, that could be a great father or mother. Others, that could be a great boss or creator, could be a great business partner. But whatever it is, it's just saying that, and whomever can relate, is that the work and time and energy that was invested to secure that identity, you know, um, has been well placed, well managed. Yeah, very wisely managed. So, anyway, so I'm gonna leave it at that. 16 minutes in, but somebody, I saw it so much on the love side, though. I really did. Is that somebody was determined to just be the best man that they can be, to fit the shoes of what a great man, with their idea at least of a great man. And a lot of it being inspired reflectively by people and things and places in their lives, muses in their lives that mirror to them what they feel they would need to, how they feel they would need to evolve in order to fill that role. So somebody wasn't going to step foot into a committed partnership, whatever, in any way, shape, or form, but particularly romantically, until they had worked out the kinks in their own evolution and transformation. And they've done it. They've been doing it so hard and so feverishly that they, like when you feel like you still gotta fight, like, but the fight's over, it's over, you good, you won, or you still feel like you playing, the athlete still playing the game, not realizing like that was the buzzer, you straight, you won, you did it, like somebody might still be out there slaying demons and kicking ass and taking names and just not even aware of how evolved and advanced, progressive they have become in their passion to be great. They don't even realize it. And maybe you don't either. So, here's to not realizing it, I suppose. Or I guess I should say, cheers to actually becoming fully aware of just how amazing you are. All right. And realizing, yeah, Four of Wands, you've done it, you've achieved it. That it never really was a competition in the first place, and perhaps that was also the winning mindset. Is coming to that realization that it was only you versus you, and even that was, aggressive, because all that the divine was ever really expecting of was for you to just be you, not to compete against you. So some of it is all coming back around to the realization that, like the book itself, The Alchemist, like where what you were looking for was already with you, or accessible by you, in proximity to you. So the journey that you may have gone to clear across the world was really just preparation for you to for you to fully accept, and access what you already had in your possession. Really to retrain your mind, recondition your mind to the knowing of your, of the sheer knowing of your privilege, of your honor, of your favor, that it was already with you. You already had it, you already had access to it, you knew where it was because it was you. So then the fight, the journey, the pathway, the adventure becomes just a formality, like par for the course. So some people could have went clear around the world trying to be this better man, better woman, or the ideal man or woman that would be able to truly inhabit a Four of Wands opportunity productively and prosperously. Like, you don't want to not be ready to be a devoted, committed, loving partner, but you do it anyway and ruin a good thing, or ruin chances for it to be the best, for it to have its greatest potential outcome. But the things about what you may feel, what a person may have felt or feel, I think it's more past tense, that they had to pursue in order to prove to themselves that they are that person. How can I say this? It's like, it wasn't things that were necessarily wrong with them in the first place. As I said before, it was more so about just not only being aware and knowledgeable of self, but accepting. And with that journey to acceptance and self-love and, really just grace with self, it ultimately morphs into, a maturation and love for others by default. So it's not even so much that the person himself or herself actually changed from the, holistically, as much as they just learned why they are so lovable or worthy of love in the first place, and have made a greater emphasis or intention to accentuating, that exchange within self. The more I'm loving on me and the best parts of me and the best parts of what I feel are most impactful of me with others or in other situations, where that attention is being invested is where it's ultimately going to fester, to the point where I only celebrate really the things that I love, and I'm so committed to nurturing those things that the other things, maybe not so favorable, or that I perceived at a time not to be, actually kind of fade to black. I don't know if that's right, but it feels right. They ultimately phase out, you know, it gets canceled out by the light of the love that you're intentionally um, nurturing yourself with. And I feel like that's the readiness of love exchange. You know, that's the sign of synchronicity of being ready for that external love exchange. Hmm. Three of Wands. Somebody somebody's ready. Somebody's got their eyes on the prize, and it's not even a matter of like aggressive pursuit with these cards, though. It's just a relaxed, easeful knowing that something's happening. There's something unfolding, there's something coming in, there's something on the way, manifesting, blossoming, blossoming. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. It could even be, you know, someone seeing the handwriting on the wall of a partnership evolving into something much more serious and long term, or at least they see the prospect for that, because they also see themselves as a prospect for it. They feel attractive to that frequency now. Mm, I love that. Let's see what else. I also feel like somebody might be waiting on some type of sign to act. It's like they're gauging a perfect moment or a right time. And they're really looking to be very patient with they're tempering their eagerness, because their timing is really key for this, for somebody. Like, as I said, it could be someone that's still is still in that mood where they're, you know, they're in pursuit, you know, like I know they're just still on guard, you know what I mean? And so now that they might be at kind of like the shore of this unfolding, or this something materializing, you know, those final moments, you don't want to get too eager and too overzealous and fuck it up, you know, at the last minute, at the buzzer. You know, you got to keep your composure the whole time. That's what I'm getting from this energy. It's like somebody would dive out into that abyss and swim their way out to see if they thought that it could bring about this experience any faster, but they're recognizing that patience is key. I'm just wondering if they holding back too much, though. I don't see that in the cards, but I sense that, especially coming from attached to what I said about somebody that may not realize that the fight is over. Like, you don't have to swing, you don't have to be on guard or be in attack mode. You know, like you're actually good to chill at this moment. Somebody who used to being very careful and treating something very delicately, And it's like, if you, let's say, down to the practical example of this, somebody that wants to be in a relationship or sees inspiration for some type of commitment, but they felt like they had some things they had to clean up or rearrange before they presented themselves to that. If you've taken so much time and care and consideration to do that much when you could have gone for the immediate gratification, it's understandable that somebody would be like, hold up, is this the moment? Is this it? Like, it kind of feels right, but I don't know. God forbid, after all of this time, they jump in and it's almost prematurely and they just right before the buzzer or right out of sync, right up. So that somebody's fixated on right timing. And maybe not sure. They know that it feels like they know that they would have to be the ones to make that determination. But that's also the scary part too, when that's all on your shoulders. Like, I feel like on a grander scheme, that's also the challenge with assuming sovereignty over your spirit, because now you have no one or nothing to defer to. You can't blame the devil, you can't blame God, you can't blame your childhood, you can't blame nothing when you are in the sovereign seat. When you are taking accountability and responsibility for what gets created in your life by way of your actions and reactions. So what I was saying is that's the scary part. It's like, whatever needs to happen next or gets to happen next for someone feels consuming, because it's imagining you're the one that has the power of activating the red button or flipping the switch or whatever, like all of that decision and choice and responsibility is hanging off of your shoulders. And you might accept it for what it is, but it doesn't make it any less heavy when you feel like everything that precedes your action is a derivative of that action. Like, everything that happens next is on account of what you do next. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. And that's a lot of pressure for the masculine in general, who a lot of times is faced with the burden of pursuit when it comes to relationships and things like that. But it feels like something, it feels like something serious here, that someone knows, like, once I step into, which was probably the apprehension in the first place, because it's like, once I step into this role, there is no, for them at least, here it is again, maybe extra unnecessary pressure, but there is no backpedaling. There's no backsliding. There's no, for them, it becomes very serious that the thing that they've been preparing to, the thing that they've been pursuing for so long by way of their own personal development is actually, there's no excuse now. It's like, you could bring up another battle, another obstacle, another point of pause, but what it seems like is nothing but space and opportunity for someone now to just step in it, and trust themselves and the divine for the rest. But one thing about it is that the divine can't come physically move your feet. It can only inspire you intuitively with different signs and synchronicities, and even sometimes circumstances, but it still comes down to the power of your own choice. And I love this because it's like it's like the foreshadowing with the Four of Wands before the Three. It's like the story's already been foretold that there's a victory here with the Four of Wands. There's something to look forward to. There's something to achieve, to feel successful in, to feel secure and safe in. You know, there's so much in that Four of Wands: harmony, stability, balance, understanding, support. The unknown is being prophesied by way of the Four of Wands. And foreshadow, because like I said, it's somebody that's still like, is it right? Am I good? Are we sure? Is there any confirmation I could have? Lord, send me a sign. All right, I got that, but how about one more? Like, send me 3 signs to tell me that now is the right time. And I'm gone. You send me 3 signs, I'm out. Somebody might get the 3 signs and be like, was that third one really a sign, or was that like, did I just kind of force that? Did I make that up? Lord, send me a sign on that third sign. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God, look at this. Look, somebody asking for a sign, the Lover's card pop out. They like, okay, so what I think you saying is, like, dude, I think that's a yes. However, if you mean yes, then oh my God, somebody don't want to fuck this up. Yes, look at this. 9 of Cups. This is all they want in life. It's like now that they are well pleased with themselves, like they got all the, like I said, the formalities, the preliminary stuff out of the way, in a sense that they probably never. That's why I'm getting the sense this 9 of Cups, somebody being very pleased with themselves, because the ways in which that they have excelled, evolved, advanced, matured, grown, is quite astounding even to them. Maybe the intention they set out on has, they've even superseded those expectations of them, of their self, to the point where they may not barely recognize themselves. Like, damn, like I really am cool with like being at home on a Saturday night, or not having a whole bunch of girls, you know, women on my line, or having a whole bunch of options in the back pocket, or feeling like I'm missing out with the homies, or being around people at all. You know, like, this is somebody that's made a total 180, and they have shocked themselves, but they like it. They like who. That's what's like double delicate about this experience, is because they all, maybe triple, because they already wanted it when they didn't even think they deserved it. It inspired them to become deserving in the way that they did. now they're at the point, maybe quadruple, because now they're at the point where they've superseded their expectation or their, their standard of deserving, even for themselves. They've surprised themselves, and it's still a highly likely possibility that what inspired them in the first place is even still available. You mean to tell me that after all this time, all this energy, all this passion that's been directed in one particular way, I haven't lost my opportunity, my chance, it's like she's still single, he's still available, he don't have no kids, he like it's astounding. It's astounding. Which is another reason why somebody's kind of just like sitting back, almost like admiring the whole scope of the situation. Like, damn, like they kind of don't want to, like they want to keep it pure and organic before they like insert themselves into it, because it'll never be what it is now. Like, as pure and natural and innocent as it is at this time. The moment that somebody steps over that threshold to bridge contact or to present themselves a certain type of way or insert themselves again in a role or position is the moment it becomes something new. Is no longer a figment of fantasy or imagination anymore. It becomes something real. Not just an emotion or a fascination. And then that's really where somebody is considerate, like, okay, I know I've done everything up until this point, but then once it is a thing, once the manifestation is a reality, do I have what it takes to manage that? That's the unknown. But again, here is the prophetic assurance here is that yes, somebody does have what it takes to manage such a gift for an extended period of time, maybe even forever or a very long time. All right, let me just get like 2 more and I'm out. But the thing about it is, it's like what somebody can't deny is how good they feel, first of all, in their own skin, but even with the sheer potential, possibility, hope of what they may have privilege to. Like somebody actually may even be fantasizing about what it feels like to actually sensationalize this ideal, and that can also be a holding space in a way as well, because it's again, you allowing yourself to be immersed in the fantasy of it all, because it's safer to be there than it is to actually insert yourself in the reality of it all, where you don't have as much control. At least not over the circumstances or the other person, but what you always have control over is yourself. And maybe somebody's thoughtful about just how much self-control they truly have, cultivated. Because it's one thing to feel pretty certain about yourself in the process, but it's that, in practice, let's say, but it's that game time performance that makes all the difference. Like, it's cool, I'm not tempted, I'm not triggered, I'm not distracted when there's nobody around to be distracted by. But when I am in a relationship, then what? Do I still have that same, temperance? You can never know until you get in there and try. But I would like to believe that the same thing that would inspire you to want to have that temperance could be the same thing to assure that you will, or to really at least support your diligent endeavors to do so. Like I said, this is somebody that's way more thoughtful about their readiness, their preparedness, their ability than they should be, because everything that they are still thoughtful about themselves is something that they've already proven to themselves in the process of getting to this moment. Just the sheer diligence alone. Was that the devil? It sure was. The devil tried to peek out. Like somebody's thoughtful about if all of their shadows have been, you know, managed properly. Or if there's ever a moment when they're faced with the trigger of their shadows, will they be able to face that challenge? You can do whatever you want. Seven of Wands. Yeah, wondering when or if that old deceptive or just that old energy about themselves that they wish to stay departed from or disconnected from will rear its ugly head and ruin, you know, a good thing. And will they have control over it? Will they be able to see it coming? Will they have the strength to resist it? It's a fair consideration, especially for somebody that holds this, whatever this potential opportunity is, in such high honor and with so much reverence and respect. It makes sense. Somebody might be wondering, like, are they kidding themselves, thinking that they can actually be a good husband, a good wife, a good father, a provider, a protector, a supporter, a lover, devoted, faithful, patient, kind. It's like somebody went they went to collect all of the spiritual character they could possibly, and this is what I'm saying, it's like they already had it though. So, but that's what initially inspired their journey, to be as spiritually fulfilled and, you know, to boost their character in that way to the point of overflow. You know, like for a single person, the 9 of Cups is like pretty much an overflow. The 10 is where you begin to share with someone else, the 10 of Cups. So somebody wanted to get as fulfilled as they possibly could by themselves, for themselves, so that it would be harder for it to be said that something was missing or something wasn't explored or experienced enough before they made this very serious commitment. And then they're still thoughtful, like, did I miss something? Did I forget about something? Is there something that's going to surprise me that I thought I cleared up, but I really didn't? But man, if you love somebody this much to care that much, guy here. I'll show you what love really looks like and feels like. King of Pentacles. How you feeling like $1,000,000, baby? Yeah. Somebody just, wants to feel stable. Wants to they want to feel grounded in the choice that they're making. It's one thing to be accepting of the emotional intelligence and decision that you may have made, like the determination, there it is, that you may have made emotionally, like I want to do this, I love this person, I love myself, I want to be in a partnership, I want to advance, I want to blah blah, whatever your reasons are, and there being a strong emotional connection to that. This is someone that wants to be able to ground. That's ultimately what's been taken a long time, it seems. Like somebody feeling like they have the physical evidence for how they may feel. That's been the hard part to really get over, to settle with, because it's like somebody not being sure to gauge, like, okay, I know I feel this way emotionally, spiritually, maybe even psychologically, but again, where is the evidence that this is grounded, that this is sustainable, that this ain't going nowhere, that I'm gonna have plenty of this, stored up or in surplus, in excess. And it could even be somebody thoughtful also about the material aspect of partnership and what it looks like to support someone, or be in a partnership 50-50, or whatever that looks like. Whatever someone's principles are about that, that was also a contributing factor for their resistance at a time. But now they're there. They've dotted most of their I's and crossed all their T's, and they even look like they got a little bit of money to show for it. A little bit of abundance here with the King, a lot of abundance. They're grounded and stable more than they know is the thing. It's like somebody could still be thoughtful even about that, like, am I in the best financial position? I don't know how you could be double guessing that at the King of Pentacles, but I guess it's one thing to be stable for you, but stable for a partnership is something else as well. Even stable to date, so they say, for a guy's perspective, is something different. So I don't know, I'm not even going to pretend to have that part all figured out, because I'm not a man. And I've never had the burden of pursuing a love interest or an object of affection. Is actually not a preference of mine to pursue partnership at all. I prefer to be pursued. Now, sometimes with that Sagittarius charm, sometimes you can feel like a Sagittarius is on the prowl, like the hunted becomes the hunter sometimes in that dynamic at some point. But for the most part, I'm pretty traditional and old school. And if you ain't pursuing, I damn sure ain't. That's just what it is, because I prefer a partner that is sure, about what they want, and sure about themselves as well. So I got nothing but love and respect for someone that took a pause for the cause of their own personal self-esteem, and confidence, to be prepared to be in an exchange of energy intimately. That wouldn't hurt my feelings, not one bit. It might be a little bit inconvenient and unfortunate to have to hold off or to wait, and most times waiting with no intention, no particular expectations, but it would still be better in the long run. My thing is, this is someone that has advanced himself in the long run. And they can, like I was saying before, it's like somebody looking for a sign. I mean, the King of Pentacles of all the court cards, particularly masculine, is that sign. It's the material confirmation that you're doing something right here, or you're on the right track, or you're heading in the right direction, or something has a great deal of promise attached to it. And this Seven of Swords then becomes pretty much just somebody like maybe outsmarting themselves or overthinking what readiness looks like, what ideal partner really looks like. Maybe they've gone too far and above and beyond, and they need to scale it back down and see themselves in the mirror again. Like, check in one more time. Maybe it's been a while since someone's taken true inventory over how much they've evolved, and they may see something differently if they allow themselves to take a look. But yeah, it's a high value man and high self-esteem, making positive choices, eye on the prize, wanting to partner and do something powerful, impactful, that has a positive outlook, again, that is fulfilled in their own regard. It's just every now and again, maybe their mind challenges that, but on the upside, if anything, to make them feel like maybe you need to do a little more. There's something more, there's that much more advanced you can become. But at some point in time, you're just going to have to, put all of that aura to the test. Yeah. King of Swords. Oh, look at this with the acceleration right here. Yep, King of Swords. Oh, with the Queen of Cups. And I see this Nine of Swords back here. Somebody's stressed. Like, am I missing my mark? You might be. I mean, you can't really fully miss what's for you, but it certainly can make for some unnecessary delays. But yeah, there's an acceleration, or there's somebody that has a whole lot to say. Maybe that's what I'm looking at here with this King of Swords, the Queen of Cups here. Yeah, it's like somebody wants to say a lot. They want to get a lot off their chest, finally. They want to say all the things that they've been either afraid to say or apprehensive to say, and that they've been rehearsing, rerunning in their mind many, many times over, that when they got the chance, this is what they would say to you, or this is how they would approach this opportunity. They already got the script, because it's been a fantasy of theirs for so long that only thing left to do is literally to just enact it, release it. Yep. And here it is with the 9 and then the Queen here. It's like somebody, the only thing that they are missing is that one, that cup that takes it over to partnership and family, collaboration, connection, cooperation, co-creation. That's the only thing someone is missing in their life. Otherwise, they're doing quite all right. But I love that somebody knows that that's what's missing. They've identified that, and they are eager to rectify it. So eager that they are almost too careful about making the wrong step. So it's ultra calculated and strategic. But I feel like once this person finds their footing, once they find, for them, they get the intel or the sign that now's the rendezvous point, or wherever the rendezvous point is, everything else is going to be like a whirlwind. Everything is going to be like a whirlwind. Whatever this is, if this is somebody in a partnership, the romance is going to take off accelerated, in an accelerated way. Marriage might come quickly, or commitment might come quickly. Advancement, like children moving in, building business, whatever, like it's something that's going to move fast, like almost as quickly as someone makes the decision to show up, is as fast as this partnership is going to evolve. And I feel like, again, here's the foreshadowing. It's going to be a beautiful expression of commitment. There's nothing to fear here. The only enemy of someone is their own thoughts and their own overthinking. To not allow themselves to trust what they know and what they're observing, 1:33 on the clock, and what they're observing of themselves and of the situation in real time. Like, just not to overthink it. It'll never be a more perfect time than what it is right now, if you say so anyway, by your own discernment, whomever relates to this. All right, so yeah, somebody's got the power to pull that trigger. They got the keys. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.